What's going on YouTube? Earth Power here with CVH.
How's it going, everybody?
And we have another exciting deck profile for you today. The deck that is up against Alcadeus in the Season 2 bracket tournament. Light, Fire, Nature, Turbo Burn.
Turbo burn. Man,
Yeah, I
what can
probably
be
said that really
said?
soft.
No, it's fine. No, you said it. It's good.
I,
Uh,
I said it, I just didn't know if it came through.
oh, it did.
Take it
It
away.
did. It's turbo burn. It's like mana burn, but turbo. That's it, everybody. It's three civilizations: light, fire, nature, as opposed to the more popular light, water, dark, nature, fortress shell centric burn. But this deck still leans pretty heavily on fortress shell, as you can see it as a four of. This is just a less popular version of the burn deck that you sometimes see in like the IDC meta, and as soon as we saw it, we knew we had to include it. Just another fun take on a kind of not fun strategy to lose to, but this one focuses really hard on mana burn. Doesn't have as much removal or card draw. It has 4 copies of Essence Self, 3 Reap and Sows, 4 Bronze Arm, and 3 Skysword, all that ramp you up to the Fortress Shells. Some of those cards, like Reap and Sow, they burn you too. It's got the 1 Cataclysmic Eruption with all these nature creatures in the deck. That could potentially be the highest power burn card that we have access to. And besides that, there's a minimal amount of defense, a minimal amount of removal, and a couple finishers, just in case you need them. But of course, you can just start beating people up with Fortress Shells and Phals after you start burning them out.
Yeah, this deck still does a lot of what classic burn does. You guys saw the deck profile with a Fortress Burn in the match against Dragons last week, and this deck still has that core attached to it. The differences being is Essence Self and Reap and Sow, I think, add a degree of intensity is not the right word, but like pressure that I think this deck doesn't have in the Forcive version. Where, sometimes, at least in the early turns, you know that you're going to have whatever mana you have until Fortress hits 7, where it starts Miraculous Plaguing and swapping in the Fortress Shells. This deck can start burning you on turns 4,
Mm-hmm.
and continue that train up until the Fortress Shell. This deck can get really demoralizing early. The only difference I think with this deck is that it just doesn't have the hand power that regular Fortress has with its water section. It leans a little bit heavier on the 2 of Mysterios here, and
Yeah.
the Phal Egos to cycle your logic cubes and kind of play that staying game based on the removal you need at any given point.
Yeah, Logic Cube is usually a fine crystal memory replacement because you can search for Soulswap, which will get you the Fortress Shell almost always. Mysterios is fantastic, maybe could even be a 3 of in the deck. Really, makes the creature-centric decks punished for playing their game plan, and the 4 Phals is kind of a staple, yeah. It can burn you out early. It can also just play the traditional ramp game if you don't need the burn. It can play turn 4 Rias. It can play turn 2 Essence Elf into turn 3 Volcano Charger and similar lines like that against aggro and midrange. So it doesn't necessarily fold to those decks, it just has to draw the right part of the deck. But
Yeah, and the
yeah.
last note I have for this deck at least is, the perk of having 3 colors is that you can dedicate a little bit more space to the finishing line, whereas Fortress Burn kind of has to play the clock management game and take its swings at shields when it's ahead on board and essentially in mana. This deck has Bolmeteus and Bazagazeal, which can kind of give you that finishing game a little bit earlier, or let you kind of swing a little bit freer, and play that kind of mid range game that I think regular Fortress Burn doesn't get access to.
Yeah. It's, surprisingly flexible, but it is really focused on the burn. I think it's an awesome deck. I don't know. I saw it and I kind of fell in love with it immediately just because I think mana burn is fun to do. And since I usually get to pilot these, I really enjoy it. So hopefully you
Yeah,
all
and
enjoyed
who
the deck profile, but I don't know how
who
much you'll
does?
enjoy seeing it.
Yeah, Cataclysmic Eruptions is a one of. Hopefully, we get to see it flex. I don't know. It's up against Alcadeus, and that's a tough matchup for this deck. I think so.
Yeah.
Leave a like, guys. Comment down below. Let us know what you think of this version of Turbo Burn, and we'll see it in the match up against Alcadeus here in the next day or so.
Mm-hmm.
Stay tuned. Peace.
Peach.